Welcome back to the udistrictmemphis.org website. And we are back with some of the artists who are going to appear in the East Bunton Art Walk, which I hope you have on your calendar now. It's April 15th. And now we get to visit with a jewelry designer, and her name is Lisa Rittenauer. She is an East Bunton resident, and she does jewelry crafting as her second business. Hello, Lisa.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
How long have you lived in East Bunton?
I have lived in East Bunton about 6 years now.
6 years.
But I've been in Memphis about 12.
All right. So you know your way around.
Yes.
And you also work in the University District.
Yes, I do. I work over at Second Presbyterian Church in the missions office.
And how long have you been an artist? How long have you been working as an artist? I guess you were born an artist.
Well, I guess the question is, how long have I been doing jewelry? And it would probably be about the last 5 years. But I've always had my hands in something. As far back as school, I did drawings. I did chalk and pencil drawings and portraits of people. Then I did some pottery. Then I did some sewing crafts. So I always have my hands in something.
Did you go to school in this area, or did you did not grow up in Memphis?
No, I grew up in Virginia.
Okay.
And went to college at George Mason in Virginia.
Right. And so what is the inspiration for your artwork? Maybe all the different things that you have dabbled in have had one theme, one thing that inspires you, or you just enjoy getting in there and using your hands and getting creative?
I think if there was one particular inspiration, it would be color. I find I'm always drawn to color. So even with beads, I'll be drawn to a color or a series of colors. That's kind of what inspires me, is color. And people. I just love people.
What are the main materials that you work with when you make your jewelry?
Well, I'm primarily gemstones and glass beads and crystals, wire. I like to do a lot of work with wire. I will do some, and as we'll see, I have some items where I've just strung, beads that I've purchased, but I also work with clay. The beads I have on are polymer clay beads that I made, and then I wove the waxed linen that is attached to it. So I do some weaving with leather and with beads. We'll see that. But I make beads, I form wire, work with wire, and I'm just starting to dabble into soldering. I am going to get into some metal smithing next, because I like to always be doing something different. So I'll just dabble in this, I'll go back to that. And
it sounds like jewelry crafting leaves a lot of room for doing so many different types of artwork. I never realized that.
Oh yeah, I always say you could take 5 people and put them in a room and give them all the same 5 sets of jewelry, wire, whatever, and you would get 5 totally different interpretations of all the same beads.
That's interesting. And it sounds fun too.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Have you done the East Bunton Art Walk before?
Yes. This is our 3rd year, and so I was on the committee the first year that they did it, and at that time it was probably, I think the first year was very small. We were just getting our feet wet into it, and it's just totally evolved every year. And this year we're really excited about it because we're also adding music. We're going to have musicians on a main stage, and right now we've got over 40 artists that are going to be throughout the neighborhood. So we're really, really excited. It started 3 years ago with about 10 to 15 artists, and now we're over 40. So it will all be, if you look at East Bunton, we have basically about 600 households in the East Bunton neighborhood. And Midland is kind of the cross street in the middle of the neighborhood. And so if you go along Midland, we will all be off of there, about 5 houses down. On each street in each direction.
Midland.
Okay. And so St. James will be our headquarters, And you'll be able to stop in there, and they will have a board with all of the artisans on there and our locations.
All right.
So it'll be very easy to find me.
All right. One more question, just in case somebody wants to get involved in what their jewelry looks like. Do you do commissioned work?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I have friends who all the time bring me, I have people who will email me a photo of a dress and say, I need jewelry to match this. Or they'll bring me a picture of something that, a piece of jewelry that they found and say, I like this style, but I want it in these colors. And so I don't copy it exact, but I do my own interpretation of that piece. But yeah, absolutely. I do a lot of that work. I also do repairs too. So if people if people have jewelry that they've bought, one of the things I really like to focus on is the service aspect of it. You know, jewelry is, no matter how well it's put together, there's always the chance it'll break. You'll get it caught on something. And so I always repair my pieces, lifetime repair, but I'll also repair pieces that people have bought elsewhere, because you can't go to Macy's and usually buy a piece of jewelry, and if it comes home and breaks, they don't usually fix it for you.
So your jewelry comes with a lifetime warranty?
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it does.
So we've really enjoyed hearing about you and a little bit about the Art Walk. And now we would like to see some of your jewelry. And and you can add anything more about your inspiration, the materials. And we'd also like to know a little bit about where you work, your studio. And so we're going to take a tour. We are back with Lisa Rittenauer and Fred.
Yes.
And they're going to show us the way to the studio.
Welcome to my studio. Very small, compact, but full of ideas and creativity. So this is where I do a lot of my work. And I'm going to set Mr. Fred down there. And show you just a sampling of some of the things that I do and some of the things that you will see at the Art Walk. These are some of my favorite pieces here. These are actually beads that I weave on a Japanese weaving disc, which is called a kumihimo disc. But it's actually 8 strands of beads that are all woven together. And so depending on how big your beads are, you can have something very small or very chunky. So it's just really, really neat. This one I love because it reminds me of water and ice. And so I have a sampling of those. And that's just some of the things I enjoy doing with that. And then one of my other favorite things is taking old vintage buttons and making rings out of them. And sometimes I will layer them to create a kind of a retro Art Deco kind of feel. Or I will just use the button itself, because the button is very pretty. This is just a button that came like this, and I just put it on wire. And I also do some wire wrapped rings here, where I do all of the coiling and wrapping on the rings. It's interesting, I've had women come to me. I had one particular friend who said that her father was in the military, and she wanted me to do kind of a keepsake for her with her father's military buttons. And so I made her a ring and also a pair of earrings with her father's military buttons. And so it's a neat way to have something special with one of your relatives around you. And then the buttons and how they start out. And here in this case, I've just layered a couple, and I have them on a piece of scrap wire. And I did this so that people, with a lot of these vintage buttons, they're one of a kind. I don't have a whole set of these. So someone would come to me and say, oh, I love that ring, but it's not in my size. So what I've decided to do is I just put them on a little scrap piece of wire, so that if you come to me and say, oh, Lisa, I love that combination, but I need it in a size 7, I can make that up very quickly into a size 7. Here's one that I recently did. It takes me about 5 minutes or so. And they're just so much fun and beautiful, because they're all just so original. And so it's a nice way to have something that is different from everyone else's. And do a lot of I love working with wire because it's just such a great medium. And these are some earrings that I have wire wrapped with some crystals. Hopefully you can see those fairly well. And I like to use just anything that inspires me. These are button earrings here. These were vintage buttons, and I just wire wrap them, as you could see, and then you can wear them, and they're just fun. I also like to make my own chain. So this is the copper portion is some chain that I've made, and then I just strung a piece of blue howlite there. Then we have over here, these are beads that I just wire wrap together. Here again is a example of some chain that I made, the copper chain links with my wire wrapping. And these are just some beautiful store-bought beads. So see, you can take store-bought beads and just make something really fun out of them. You know, I'm not doing anything that anyone can't do themselves. You know, it's just...
Do you ever teach other people?
I do. I love to teach people to do this, and I will do classes for people who would like that.
That might be a fun birthday party.
Mm-hmm. It would be an absolute fun birthday party. And here I've taken simple glass pearls and wrapped another layer of pearls around them to create a daisy effect there. And I've done the same thing here with just some glass beads and some little seed beads. So I take inspiration from lots of things, from nature with natural gemstones, to people that I know and friends that ask me to do things. And I like to be inspired by everything, particularly color.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. I know you have to get back to Second Presbyterian Church. They might be looking for you. So I appreciate you taking a break and showing us all of your wonderful things.